Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The show is about to begin.
'Twas the night before Christmas, and up in the tower, everyone was partying, except one wallflower. John McClane missed his wife. Things just weren't the same since Holly had moved west and changed her last name. He tried to win her back, but still she said no. Well, unbeknownst to them, there was trouble below. Good evening, and welcome to our special holiday episode of Three Guys in a Flick. This is where we review the good, the bad, and the absurd. Tonight's episode, Die Hard. Beware spoilers. Coming to you from my basement, as always, my name is Don, and to my right we have our comic book guy, John.
Yippee-ki-yay.
You gonna finish that?
No.
Pussy. And to my left, we have the Professor, Ken.
Evening, officer. What can I do for you?
Nice. The doorman. Do you know what his name is in the movie? Neither do I. Ah, shit. I got $50 bet on them assholes. Yeah, so it's Christmas time, boys. Merry Christmas, Professor.
Merry Christmas.
I would say Merry Christmas to the comic book guy, but do you celebrate Christmas?
I do with family.
Merry Christmas.
So wait.
Happy holidays.
Wait. Is that a yes or a no?
I believe I do.
Okay, well, there you go. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays.
This is our special Christmas episode. We are reviewing one of the greatest Christmas movies ever made, the 1988 Bruce Willis vehicle, Die Hard.
So much to talk about.
So
So
much
much to unpack.
Yeah.
This movie set up so many other movies.
Oh, I know. Coming down the pipeline, we actually get to talk about Die Hard on a Bus. So, yeah, this movie changed things.
It created the formula of one man against a group in a confined area. So we got Under Siege came out after this, Die Hard on a Boat. You know, it set up all of these movies.
Yeah. Definitely a game changer. Do you guys remember where you were when you saw it for the first time? I'm assuming we all saw this in the theater, yes?
I'm guessing so. I don't remember the exact place.
Well, the Professor seems to do. Lay it on me.
No, I know I saw it in the theater, but what I found more memorable was I had this specific recollection back in the day when 7-Eleven used to rent VHS videotapes. And I rented Die Hard, and it's 11:30 at night on a weeknight, and I had just started watching the movie, and for whatever reason, my dad got up, and he's like, "What are you doing?" "I'm watching a movie." And so he sits and he watches a few moments of it, and then the next thing you know, he's watching the whole thing with me in the middle of the fucking night. He loved the movie.
That is awesome. So awesome. Do you remember the Crest?
Mm-hmm.
It's still up the street, right? Many years ago, Die Hard was playing there, and my best friend Dave lived right by there. And his sister, Dave's sister, worked there. We knew people that worked there, so we knew the manager. So we saw Die Hard probably every day after school, probably for like a month or however long it was at the Crest, because we could go in and watch it for free. Mm-hmm. We watched it so many times that and I will never forget this. We sat behind this guy, and the movie comes on, and I start saying all the lines. Right, I do the whole McClane residence, Lucy McClane speaking. "Hello, Lucy McClane. This is your mother speaking." And the guy turns around and says, "Are you going to do that for the entire movie?" So, needless to say, I think that's where I got.
Is that where it started?
I think that's where it started.
There's just so many lines in this movie that just roll off the tongue.
Yes, absolutely. Die Hard was released July 15th, 1988. It was directed by John McTiernan. The screenplay by Jeb Stewart and Stephen D'Souza. Based on the book Nothing Lasts Forever by Roderick Thorpe. Produced by Lawrence Gordon, Joel Silver. And it stars Bruce Willis, Alan Rickman, Alexander Godunov, and Bonnie Bedelia. An NYPD officer tries to save his wife and several other hostages taken by German terrorists during a Christmas party at the Nakatomi Plaza in Los Angeles.
I'm sorry, did you say Christmas party?
I did say Christmas party.
Okay. So this takes place at Christmas.
Not only at Christmas, it's Christmas Eve.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm pretty sure by the time they drive away, or did we say spoilers? By the time they drive away in the limo, it's Christmas morning.
And it's technically snowing.
And
Frank
it's technically snowing.
And Frank Sinatra is singing Let It Snow.
Now, do you know Sinatra's connection to this movie?
Yeah, he played the John McClane character in a movie called The Detective.
Yes. And what is The Detective from?
A book.
The book that was the Nothing Lasts Forever that this was based off was actually a sequel to the book The Detective that Frank Sinatra played in the movie.
Did you know that Frank Sinatra had first right of refusal for the role of John McClane?
Yep.
I did.
I did hear that. In fact,
73, I think, when this all went down.
Yeah, originally they were going to make a movie directly from the book, and they were going to use him. But then the rights, I think, expired, and someone else got the rights and made Die Hard.
Yeah, and lucky for us, that happened.
Yeah.
Can you imagine old Blue Eyes running around at 73?
Well, the original from the book would have taken place over 3 days and would have had terrorists instead of the people trying to steal the money.
Yeah.
So a lot of other changes they made. We can cover that later.
Sure.
Now, how much money did this movie make and how cost?
This movie was made for $35 million, and it took in $142 million.
Not bad, but not as good as Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They made like $200 million.
Did they really?
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
wow.
what I was so blown away by. I can't believe that they did better than Die Hard.
You know, the year this came out.
It's a different market, bud.
Yeah.
The year this came out, it was in the top 10. But other movies that were on top of Die Hard, the movie Cocktail, that made more money.
With Tom Cruise?
Yeah.
Ew.
Crocodile Dundee 2.
2.
Yeah, they made
more money.
They made 2 of them, yeah.
I'm saying, though, that the sequel made more money than this.
Good Morning Vietnam.
That I could see.
Yeah.
Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Yeah.
Any of these movies you watch anytime recently? Any of these movies you feel like watching ever again?
Maybe 1 or 2, but
framed
not.
Roger Rabbit?
I understand where you're going with that. Yeah, no, they're no Die Hard, right?
Exactly.
But at the time, they had no idea that this was going to work. Bruce Willis wasn't even their first choice. I mean, he was number 6 down the line.
He was way down the list.
Yeah.
There's a lot. Was it Nick Nolte they offered it to first?
Probably. It's like, who didn't they offer it to?
Yeah, they offered it to all of the big muscle people.
They had so much faith in Bruce Willis that the original movie poster didn't have his face on it. It was just the tower.
The reason why he wasn't on there was because the initial screening that they were doing, it had a very milquetoast response. And because it was so tepid, they thought, oh boy, maybe we shouldn't be pushing him because he had only done one movie. What was the one movie?
Blind Date.
Blind Date, yeah.
Correct. And so he's on Moonlighting, and he is not a movie star. And up to this time, television actors have not made the transition successfully. It is exceptionally rare to go from TV to the big screen. And the studio, they paid a lot of money for Bruce, and they were awkwardly deciding that, it's probably going to be okay. And then the initial response was, oh, okay, no. They took his face off of everything. They reduced the font size of his name, and they went with that just to be on the safe side.
Yep.
And
look what happened.
I read somewhere that the first scene they filmed with Bruce Willis was the one where he's jumping off the building with the big explosions behind him. Mm-hmm. And he asked early on, why did you start with that thing? I could have gotten injured. And their response was, because we could have replaced you earlier. Now, here's the big question, the big debate. Is this a Christmas movie? Of course, this is our pick for our Christmas movie this year. Is it a Christmas movie? Some of the reasons that I wrote down was obviously it takes place during the holidays at a holiday party. Some of it was actually filmed during Christmas time because it, filmed over several months. It uses a lot of Christmas music in it. John McClane's wife happens to be named Holly. I mean, there's just a ton of reason. There's a lot of references to presents. What's his name? The officer in the car. He's buying Twinkies for his wife as a gift. And John McClane even makes a comment of, now I have a machine gun, ho, ho, ho. I mean, there's a lot of different things. One of the biggest reasons I thought was the fact that in the movie, you notice that John McClane is being selfless, so he's kind of on the good list, whereas the bank robbing terrorist people, the people stealing the money, the thieves, they're on the naughty list and being naughty, so they get punished.
All of that is 100% correct. And it's funny because when the movie opens, you can hear the sleigh bells in the score.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes place on Christmas Eve.
Even at the end, when all the bombs are falling down, after the big explosion, it looks like snowfall at the end.
Yeah.
So I had counted 9 times, where there is some sort of a Christmas reference that is stated in some fashion in the movie by somebody saying something to do with Christmas.
How many times?
9 times.
Wait, one more time?
9 times.
Wow.
I don't remember him being sick 9 times. It's probably because he wasn't sick. He was skipping school.
9 times.
Okay,
Bears.
that's not the complete quote. All right.
But I like the pool, though.
So I have 3 basic things to consider what would make a Christmas movie a Christmas movie. First thing is that you need to have a movie that is primarily set during the Christmas season. The second thing is you need to have a character, or it must include figures in a prominent role that upon their initial exposure to us, they have something directly to do with Christmas. So the third criteria is that the film must feature at least one traditional Christmas theme, such as love, hope, generosity, faith, redemption, family, or fear. Any one of these things that are exposed during the storyline in conjunction with one of those 2 other points, if you have at least 2 of these things, I think you got a Christmas movie.
So I would say that, Die Hard definitely fits all 3 of those descriptions.
Well,
so
I
there
don't
you
know
go.
as much about the second one. The second one being you have a prominent figure. Now, if you take somebody like Jack Skellington or the Grinch, at the time those are released, they're not necessarily associated directly with Christmas, but I would bet by today's standards, you mention Grinch or Jack Skellington, anybody's going to say, yeah, those are Christmas characters.
Yeah.
Couldn't you say that Hans Gruber was trying to steal their Christmas?
He well said, John. And anytime you say John McClane, you think Christmas.
Yeah. Now, technically, 20th Century Fox has put the debate to rest because for the 30th anniversary, they advertised this film as the greatest Christmas movie ever made.
Yeah, it's hard to debate, I would say that. According to IMDb, the top 10 Christmas movies of all time, Bad Santa, number 10.
Did not come out during Christmas time, by the way.
Neither did this.
I know, I'm saying, though, Bad Santa falls into that label as well.
Right, but come on, it's in the name too, right? Number 9, Elf. Number 8, Miracle on 34th Street. Number 7, A Christmas Story. Number 6, Home Alone. Number 5, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Number 4, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Number 3, A Christmas Carol. Number 2, Die Hard. Number 1, It's a Wonderful Life. So if IMDb says it, it's got to be true, right?
Some other things I'd like to point out, because I mentioned earlier, Bad Santa, which is obviously a Christmas movie, did not come out around Christmas time. Some other Christmas movies, themed movies that did not come out during Christmas time include Gremlins, Black Christmas, Carol, Batman Returns, Trading Places, and Krampus. They all did not come out. Because everyone always says Die Hard's not a Christmas movie because it came out in June or July, I believe. July. So all those movies did not come out during that time.
I read somewhere that what makes a Christmas movie is if you think it's a Christmas movie, it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks.
Pretty much.
That goes along with, is that Batman and Robin a Christmas movie?
No.
You don't think so, even though it happens all during Christmas time?
And
Batman and Robin doesn't happen
or
during Christmas.
Which Batman was it?
Batman Returns?
Batman Returns, I mean.
Yeah.
Is that a Christmas movie?
It's got Christmas lights in it.
I would watch it during the Christmas season.
Okay.
So,
Ken, you brought up a good point earlier about how much Bruce Willis was paid to do this movie. Did you see the actual number of how much he was paid?
Yeah, it was $5 million.
$5 million coming from TV to do that blind date movie to being this action character and getting $5 million.
Now, in today's standards, that is a little muddy to look at. But considering that a typical action star that is an A-lister, they would get $5 million. A more middle-of-the-road actor that would probably get first billing, but not necessarily an A-lister. A-lister talent is going to guarantee that you have a built-in audience, and so the studio is going to feel more confident pumping more money into a project if they know that they have a built-in audience. If there is no built-in audience, then it's a riskier deal. So if you have your first name Bill and they are not necessarily with that built-in audience, a typical person would probably get $2 to $3 million at this time. And so for somebody to go from TV into the movie industry and get $5 million, it raised a lot of eyebrows at the time.
Sure. Yeah. And then before not too long, Jim Carrey was getting $20 million a picture.
Yeah, he skyrocketed up.
I think he was the first one to do it.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. Right. You know, he had success with Ace Ventura, and then he did well with The Mask, and then all of a sudden, Cable Guy, $20 million.
Yeah,
it was like, what the fuck, crazy money.
Yeah. So yeah, Bruce gets $5 million and becomes an overnight action star, the everyman hero.
Yeah, and
wrong place at the wrong time.
And let's talk a little bit about that, because when we talk about action movies are born and bred in Hollywood every day of the week these days. But back when Die Hard was out, action movies were all about your Stallone, Schwarzenegger, big muscles, and doing it so suavely and so effectively. Bruce Willis's John McClane is the opposite of that. He is the everyman that does not have confidence, and he is insecure, and he's afraid that he's going to die a lot.
Yeah, they say he's a character that's built on self-loathing and the desire to make up and to do good for others.
Yeah, so this is a new horizon that Hollywood is opening up because of Die Hard at this time.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't think we would have had movies like Sudden Death, Under Siege, Air Force One, Passenger 57, Con Air. All those movies spawned out because of this movie.
And I got to say that when we talk about action movies, this is very much my meat and potatoes. I grew up on action movies. I could not get enough of them.
Oh, you and me both. Right?
I thought it was you and me with horror movies.
Oh, dude, I love every movie. Commando? Shit, get out of here. Who else did you mention?
You said you'd kill me last.
I lied.
Predator.
Funnily enough, nice segue there, Professor. Predator was directed by John McTiernan.
The year before. And Predator
was fucking awesome. But look at Predator. It was Arnold and his buddies against the one Predator. His next film he goes on to direct is Die Hard. And you have all the terrorists against one guy. So there's a theme there. Did you know when Carl gets shot by Al, the score that plays during that is a leftover Aliens tune that they didn't use?
I read that just recently. Yeah, that was crazy.
I knew that, and then listening to it again last night, I can totally see it.
Yeah, it has some weird name, Starship something or other. Or
the track does?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's totally set up for aliens.
This movie did get nominated for 4 Academy Awards. I was kind of surprised by that. I didn't know that it had gotten nominated for any Academy Awards.
Neither did I. What awards did it get nominated for?
It got nominated for sound, film editing, sound effects editing, and visual effects.
Yeah.
And didn't win any?
No Oscars.
But just to be nominated.
Thank you. That was some low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, well. Fucking Die Hard, man. It changed my life. That I fucking know for sure. A truck had pulled up, and who should disembark but 14 men whose intentions were dark. They spoke not a word and unloaded big crates. They cut the phone lines and locked all the gates. Carl swept the ground floor, shooting every guard dead, while visions of bearer bonds danced in their head. John took off his shoes, making fists with his toes. It actually worked. Well, what do you know? When out in the lobby there arose such a clatter, he sprung to the door to see what was the matter. All right, so Die Hard opens with the plane landing, and we're immediately introduced to Bruce Willis's character, John McClane, who we will all come to love and, adore, at least through 3 solid movies. But we can talk about that another time. Yeah. My first thought was, how he's talking to the guy, and he says, trust me, I've been doing this for 9 years, and he gets up and
11.
Well, whatever. And he sees John's gun. And I was thinking to myself, wow, back on the days when you could just carry a gun on a plane like that.
Yeah, Julie brought up the same point of, were they allowed to carry guns at that time? And I think they were before 9/11, weren't they?
Oh, probably cops? I think so.
Yeah.
I think they just had to show it and go through security. But who knows, right? And then his line, right? Trust me, I've been doing it for
11 years.
11 years. Yeah, great introduction. And immediately Bruce Willis. And is it weird to see Bruce Willis with hair again?
Kinda, yeah.
I made that exact comment when we started watching the movie going, oh my God, he's got hair.
He's so young, and then he has that smirk. And that smirk has taken him to where he is today.
I will admit it, a guilty pleasure of mine was watching Moonlighting. I liked that show.
I don't call it a guilty pleasure. I will take that with pride. I watched every single episode of Moonlighting. I would stay up past my bedtime to watch Moonlighting. And the one that always got me was the Slap Heard Around the World.
Which was better, Moonlighting or Remington Steele?
Moonlighting.
Okay. You have a preference, or did you watch either?
I was too young. No, that's Johnson. I was still
I was in junior high, dickhead.
Yeah. No, I didn't watch either one. I watched a couple episodes, but it never stuck.
Mm-hmm.
I was indifferent towards either one of those shows. Have either of you tried to do the fist with your toes into the carpet?
That's funny that you say that, because yes, I have. And as you both know, I've traveled a lot for my job. And there were times where I would go take off my shoes and socks and make fist with your toes.
Does it work?
Yes.
I didn't get anything out of it.
I've never tried it.
I think it worked because subconsciously I needed it to work, because it's from one of my favorite films.
When you did it make you feel like you could take on a bunch of thieves robbing a building?
No, but I don't think it made him feel like he could either. He didn't want to.
No,
McClane did not want to do this. Let's be clear.
He is the reluctant hero.
Right. So we're
wrong place, wrong time.
Oh, absolutely.
And he would be happy to hand this off to somebody else.
Yeah, that's what makes him that guy. Mm-hmm. So yeah, he gets off the plane. We get the credits, and we hear the sleigh bells in the theme. And then we cut to Nakatomi. So now we get to see where all of this is going to go down, and we're cutting back and forth from Nakatomi to the airport with Bruce Willis, and he meets Argyle, the limo driver.
And Argyle lets us into John's world.
Yep, and this is the 30 seconds of backstory of McClane that we get, and really, it's all we need.
Totally.
Yep.
Totally.
And McTiernan does a great job with having this conversation in the car, and just the questions and the answers. I mean, you get it all. John's kind of a dick, right? But he's from New York. He's from the East Coast. He's going to the West Coast. I mean, that's to be expected.
Did you like how he sat up front with Argyle?
Oh, I thought that was hilarious.
And, it was brought up when we were watching the movie, is that's kind of what you expect as someone who's like a New York cop who's not used to limos. He does not want to sit in the back and be chauffeured.
Absolutely. That's why the bear gets the back seat.
Yeah.
So, and I love, they go through their bit, and we find out that John's a New York cop whose wife took a lucrative job in L.A., for a very powerful company, if you will. But he didn't think she was going to make it, so they've argued about it, and you can tell that the argument is still going and the wounds are fresh.
Is it Argyle that calls him out on his bullshit when he says, you didn't think she'd make it?
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Let me guess. You didn't think she would make it, so why bother to pack? And then he laughs and he says, You're very quick, Argyle. So yeah, they kind of wrap that up into a bow for us. But, you know, to John's credit, he's trying. You know, he made the trip. He wants to maybe reconcile or see the kids and see his family at Christmas.
That's what this trip is about for John, minus the terrorists. This is a trip for John to have reconciliation.
And to be with his kids.
Maybe even some atonement.
Perhaps, but he sure goes through a hell of a lot to get there. My favorite bit about this whole limo ride is when he goes, "You mind if we hear some music?" And he puts in the tip, and it's fucking Run DMC, and I love it. I think the first time that Elise and I watched this, that song came on, and I said, "Who is this?" And she kind of looks at me for a second. She said, "Run DMC." I was so proud.
You should be proud.
I was so proud.
That's
so every time we hear it now,
nice.
she thinks of Die Hard. Christmas movie.
I guess on the initial soundtrack, they did not put Run DMC on the initial soundtrack.
I
They
think-
did on a future release.
Yeah, no, I think you're correct on that because I remember looking for it. But it is on Run DMC's one of their albums.
After watching this movie, I went and watched the music video.
Oh, for that song, Christmas in Hollis.
I love that one.
Yeah.
All right, so which one of them was in Comic-Con?
That was Daryl, DMC.
Yeah, okay. Oh, so he's DMC.
Yeah. So John gets to the tower.
And his awkwardness with the signing in. Oh, cute toy, right? This is back when technology is pretty spanking new for us.
Right. And so the building lets him know that his wife Holly is not working there under Holly McClane, but as Holly Gennaro. So he goes out, he finds out that they're on the 30th floor. Now let's talk about this for a second. What company has their holiday party on Christmas Eve? That seems kind of like a dick move.
Total dick move. What the hell?
But still makes it a Christmas movie.
Well, I don't know. That seemed like a pretty interesting Christmas party with cocaine, people sleeping around. There was a lot of happening at that Christmas party.
Well, it was in L.A. What did you expect?
It's 1988.
You sound shocked and almost horrified that this was going on.
Decadence.
I never got invited to one of those Christmas parties.
And so here we get to meet Holly, and we get to meet Mr. Takagi and good old Ellis with his mulled wine suggestion.
Did you read who almost got to play Mr. Takagi?
No, who's that?
Who really wanted the role, but his manager screwed it up?
I'll bet the manager got fired eventually.
Oh, I don't know. George Takei almost had that role.
Takei,
I'm sorry. George Takei wanted that role, but apparently there was some miscommunication with his manager and he did not get it.
Wow.
And they wanted him for it. Well, the guy that they got, it's interesting that he made that Pearl Harbor joke. Mm-hmm. And a previous movie that he was famous for was a movie where he played a general during Pearl Harbor.
I remember that. James Shigeta.
Mm-hmm.
Ironic, don't you think? So at this point, we are now introduced to our terrorist. We see that box truck coming in, right?
Ominous music.
The ominous music. Was it Beethoven? Ode to Joy.
Have we met Ellis yet?
Yes.
Yeah, he just
yes.
Oh, okay, because that dick.
Yeah.
Show him the watch.
Show him the watch.
What? Come on, you embarrassed?
But
it's a Rolex.
You are big about foreshadowing. And did you catch the foreshadowing with the watch? With John's line?
Not. I'm sure I'll see it later.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll see it later, which he does.
Yeah, well, no, not the first time I saw it. And I challenge anybody to say that they did. But now that you watch it, you can't help but smile, right? Mm-hmm. I'm sure I'll see it later. Yeah, and so, we the terrorists come in and the truck pulls up to the dock and the door opens up. And this is the first time we get to see Alan Rickman as Hans Gruber. And this is Alan Rickman's first studio movie. So, I mean, he's kind of got a lot riding on the line here. And I remember seeing it, and even to this day, when that door opens up and they start walking off mixed with the score, I'm thinking these are some bad motherfuckers.
It was his idea to wear a suit. They originally wanted him in tactical gear, but he proposed that he thought Hans Gruber would wear a suit.
Oh, and there's another improvised line between him and Willis when he has the American accent, that they were so impressed that he could do an American accent. McTiernan said, "Oh, why don't you and Bruce just ad-lib that?" So what we got was fucking, it was
the
brilliant.
whole thing.
That's he was so good.
Yeah. So what created that tension during that scene is the fact that they didn't know what each other's lines were going to be.
Yeah.
Now, one of the interesting scenes while we're at this office party is when John McClane and Holly go into that office area and they have that fight. That kind of, again, gives a real good glimpse into who John McClane is.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, the private bathroom. Because he says to her, or she says to him, you got to forgive Ellis. And he goes, I think he's got his eye on you. She says, well, I have my eye on his private bathroom. So that's Ellis's bathroom.
But then they get into that little fight, and then she leaves, and then he starts hitting his head against the door, kind of, scolding himself. And you can kind of get that feeling of that self-loathing that he has, that why did he have to start a fight?
Yeah. Yeah. Real mature, he says. Real mature. He does call Argyle because Argyle gave him the card earlier. He's going to pull in the parking garage and wait for him. And at the same time, our terrorists are in the building, and they've split off into 2-3 teams, maybe even more.
They killed the guards at the front.
They kill the guards at the front. They take over the front. And then they have to cut all the phone lines, and they cut the phone lines while John and Argyle are talking, and which is kind of weird. And then the elevator raises up, and it's the ding, and it opens, and there are terrorists again, and then shit's about to pop off. So
while John's off in the bathroom getting his toes rubbed on the carpet.
Yeah, that fucking guy. This whole however minute we're into this film, fucking hooked.
Wonderfully put together.
Yes. When what to is wondering I should appear. Holy crap, there are terrorists here. John hid under a table where no one could see and watch Hans question Mr. Takagi. I'm going to count to 3. There will not be a 4. Give me the codes to open the vault door. I don't know the codes, so go ahead and shoot. Okay, said Hans Gruber, and ruined Takagi's suit. John tried to call the cops by pulling an alarm, but instead called the bad guys who tried to cause him harm. But John killed Tony, who had very small feet, and sent him to the terrorists as a Yuletide treat. He put a Santa hat on the German, and eyes all aglow, wrote, Now I have a machine gun. Ho, ho, ho. Carl was furious. Tony was his brother. He chased John across the roof as they shot at each other. John was able to escape through the ventilation shaft. Come out to the coast, he sighed. We'll have a few laughs. So John and Holly have this fight. She has to go off and make the speech, and then all of a sudden the terrorists arrive and the gunfire starts going, and he immediately grabs his gun and he looks, and I love the chaos of this scene, and I love how everyone's just kind of running around and you hear gun firing, and then you see the shot of Hans standing there and Carl walks by him, and they're so matter of fact and so business, and then he kind of takes off. It was, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but it was a really cool shot.
The calm, the demeanor that he has, because he has his little book open, and as things settle down, and then he continues to read out of his little book, and then he closes the book, and then he puts it away.
Ladies and gentlemen, oh my God, such a great opening line from a fucking villain, right?
When you think of any villain in any movie, he is the top of my list.
That's a great point to make.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and already contradict you. Joker.
I don't know. Every time I think of the badass criminal, I always think of Hans Gruber.
You will always go back to the Joker, but I hear what you're saying.
The point that I'm making is Hans Gruber is one of the most iconic villains in cinematic history. He is in the top 10, I think.
Without question, without a doubt, 100%.
Alan Rickman originally turned down the role when it was offered to me. He got to California and he was offered the role in like just a couple of days.
Yeah,
and people
it was like
said
2 days.
That doesn't happen. You don't get these kind of roles that quick, and so that's why he took the movie. He was afraid that he would get stereotyped as a villain. He didn't want his first role to be a villain, and he created this iconic character.
Oh, so good. So good. So he gives them his opening speech, which I fucking love. And my favorite part about that speech is the ending. You will be witnesses. Just so matter of fact. And then we cut to John getting away in the stairwell.
I remember watching this the first time thinking, holy shit. I think that's what I would have done too. I think I would have taken off just like he did. And then there he is upstairs, No, 2 floors up, and he is chastising himself. It's like, what do I do? What do I type of thing? It's just like, oh man, I am right there with you, John.
So it's funny that you say that. I distinctly remember back in 1988, I was in 8th grade, and my brother Chris, who him and I share a lot of similarities with movies, but a lot of big differences. That's what makes it fun to talk movies with him. I remember him saying that what he liked and appreciated about this, because he was older and got to see it before me, was that how McClane had to talk to himself and how to, what are you going to do? How are you going to get out of this? And yeah, I mean, just such little additions to the character that, that's why he went down and that's why he did what he did. That's why John McClane became who he claimed. I fucking love that. Think, goddammit, think. I say that shit all the time.
Yeah. So effective. I mean, I just remember that, through the first half of the movie easily, I am right beside him in his thoughts, in his words, in his mannerisms. He was so delightfully put together on the screen, and I totally bought everything that he did for every second through the entire first half of the movie, if not more.
Yeah. And so after he gets away, we find out that Hans finds out who Takagi is, and they get taken away for a private meeting. And Alan Rickman is so cool when he's giving the bio of Takagi. He's just casually walking down through the crowd. And if you notice, all the guards are walking around casing, seeing if they can find him. And Holly, being the wife of a cop, immediately grabs his arm, and they make it a point to show us that shot. And then she says, "Don't move," right? But eventually he gives up, and they get on the elevator, and I love the conversation.
Question. I am curious to know, did Hans Gruber know what Takagi looked like?
I don't know, because when he's walking, he's looking at every older Asian gentleman and looking, it almost looks like he's looking for a reaction. So I don't know if he knows exactly what he looks like.
I think it's supposed to, I think it's meant to tell us that he doesn't, which back in 88, I guess is not unheard of. I mean,
but then he said he also read an article about him in one of the magazines. Do you think they would have had a photo of him in the article?
Maybe, or maybe a picture of the models that he likes so much.
Could have been a younger picture too.
Yeah, you never know.
My thought is that he absolutely knew what he looked like, and the only reason why he was doing that was because he was sizing up who Takagi is.
Interesting.
Could be.
Interesting take. So yeah, and then that conversation in the elevator, right?
Yeah, talking about the suits. I have 2 myself.
Oh, so good. Rumor has it Arafat buys his there as they walk off. And then they start interrogating him, and John, in the meantime, makes his way down to the same room. And, this scene should tell you right away who you're dealing with when you're talking about Hans Gruber, right? He asks nicely for the codes.
Puts the gun onto the table.
He doesn't bluff.
No, well, yeah, and he puts the gun on the table to show you, business,
this
right?
This is what we're talking about.
Right, and he gives him a chance, and he even says, Takagi says it's useless to you, and he says, well, then there's no reason not to give it to us, right? And then he starts to panic.
I like the line of, I'm going to count to 3. There will not be a 4.
I use that shit all the time too, especially with kids.
I told you.
That's one of my favorite. It's not over yet. And then the look Hans gives both of those. He's like, shut the fuck up. That's what that look is. It's so good. 1, 2. I don't have the code. You're just going to have to kill me.
Okay.
Boom. And then the look on Bruce Willis's face when it happens, brilliant.
Well, the 2, Carl and I forget the other guy's name. Theo, they ad-libbed that whole betting thing behind him.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. They thought it would be interesting to add a scene of, of course, these 2 terrorist thieves guys would have a bet on whether or not he would break.
Yeah, for sure. And then John
bumps his head.
Right. And then, first the line. And we'll keep going back to lines. Fine, we'll do it the hard way. Because you shoot them, right? Hans, so good. So he gets away. John gets away, and
he heads upstairs.
He starts talking to himself again.
Yep.
Why didn't you stop them, John?
Because then you'd be dead too.
Asshole. Think, goddammit, think. And then it dawns on him.
Fire alarm.
Fire alarm. Naturally, the terrorists intercept it, and John goes upstairs, waits for the cavalry to come, and they're coming. You got sirens, and he's all excited. The terrorists send someone up to investigate. It's Carl's brother. You know, more good dialogue from Bruce Willis.
That brother is a liar.
Oh, yeah,
totally right.
You come out and
I promise I won't hurt you.
And he comes out of the corner, immediately starts shooting.
Yeah, he doesn't even. Yeah, totally a liar.
Yeah.
Doesn't he cock it too after he says it? He says, "Promise, I won't hurt you," and then he cocks the gun. I think he does something like that.
Yeah.
Which
he apparently, the actor who played the brother, what was his name?
Brother of Carl.
Yeah, brother of Carl. He was the only actual German besides Bruce Willis in this movie. So he was the only one that actually spoke German. The rest of them were all just actors who didn't speak German.
And German is very rarely spoken.
Well, it's funny too that Alan Rickman's originally from England. Bruce Willis was born in Germany.
So right after he kills him, he starts going through the body.
Right.
And this is where we get a walkie-talkie and some detonators and some ammunition and cigarettes.
Does he have the detonators at this point?
No, he just gets
the walkie-talkie.
He just gets the walkie-talkie, and that's it,
really.
really.
Right.
And the machine gun. He gets a machine gun. Yeah. Because, he's got a machine gun. That's right. So Carl's brother comes up to investigate. They get in a fight. John kills him. And then, since John's barefoot, the first thing I would have done, too, was go for the shoes. You know, was he say 9 million terrorists in the world? I got to kill one with feet smaller than my sister. So he's still shoeless, but he has this brilliant idea. He's going to send the dead terrorists to his terrorist friends with the message.
I like the line that comes right after that, which is, "Somebody tell Carl his brother is dead."
Well, he says...
it's a matter of fact.
Yeah, but this kind of also gives us an insight to McClane's character. He's hiding out on top of the elevator, taking recon.
Very clever.
Yeah.
Bruce Willis did a lot of his own stunts in this movie, and that was one of them. He actually rode on the top of the elevator.
And there's a lot of stunts that he didn't do, and we could tell that it's not Bruce Willis.
Yeah, you could tell from the hair.
Yeah, totally. It's totally the hair. But we'll forgive him this one time. Because it's a Christmas movie, and it's full of miracles.
And it's perfect timing, because this is right when Hans says, "Have no illusions, we are in charge."
Yep. And then the door opens, and guess what? They're not so much in charge.
So good.
Yeah. So he's riding the elevator all the way up because he has to get to the roof, because that's the best place to transmit, right? So he goes up there and he calls for help, and no one believes him. You know, and this is some of the greatest lines ever in a movie.
I love the, it's illegal to go ahead and make a crank call.
Yeah. Fine. Arrest me, or fine. Come down here and arrest me. Just send the police now.
The other line I like is, "Do you think I'm ordering a fucking pizza?"
No fucking shit, ladies. Does it sound like I'm ordering a pizza? Oh, it's classic. Absolutely classic. So the LAPD investigates, but in the meantime, Hans and team figure out where the best place to transmit is, so they all go up to the roof. And before they get out of the elevator, the terrorist, Carl, the brother of the dude McClane killed, says, "Nobody kills him but me." Right there, you're setting yourself up for failure, right? You have two other guys. What are they fucking supposed to do?
Isn't that the same mistake every bad guy makes?
Yeah, but you would think that these bad guys are smarter. And for a little while, they kind of are.
Yeah. I would just say, whoever kills him, kills him.
Yeah.
You get a shot, take it.
Yeah. But,
that and never monologue. That's the two things.
Which Hans Gruber does. And, well, we'll get there. So John escapes. He goes into the elevator shaft and then into the ventilation ducts, and, so good.
This is actually, obviously, a stunt person did the whole, falling down into the elevator shaft area, and I guess they screwed up this scene, the stuntman. Did you read about that?
Yeah, it was an accident.
He was supposed to catch that first, vent area, and he missed it, and then caught the second one, but they thought it looked so cool, they kept it in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, and it does. But I always thought to myself, there's no way anybody could grab that going down.
But somebody did.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he had a wire on.
One of the things this movie does right away, though, at this scene where he catches the vent and he climbs into the little shaft area, is it dates itself. Because he makes a comment of, this is what a TV dinner feels like. And I found myself having to explain, well, back when TV dinners were covered with aluminum foil and, you're all compact and all that, you don't see TV dinners like that anymore.
Yeah.
In the meantime, we get to meet Al. Al is introduced to us as he is responding to the call while he's getting his Twinkies. Mm-hmm. And code 2. Does anybody know what a code 2 is?
Yes, a code 2. We'll give a little time for the audience to guess. But a code 2.
Wait. They're almost there.
From what I've read.
Wait, no, they're not there yet. Give them a little bit more time. You're the one that brought it up.
Okay, anyway. A code 2, I believe, is when they go to a scene to check out a scene, but they do not use sirens.
Yes, it is
a drive-by.
Well, it's more than a drive-by. It is an urgent request for help, but without sirens, as opposed to just a drive-by, if you will.
Now, obviously, question, the guy who plays the officer, getting the Twinkies and everything, he was on a TV series where he played an officer. Not the same character, but he did play an officer. What TV series?
Really? Are you asking us that? This movie came out in 1988. That show was on in the 90s. Everyone knows that answer. What is it?
It's not Trading Places.
Oh, for
TV
fuck's sakes. Family Matters.
Thank you.
There you go.
I knew it was something schmaltzy like that.
He did actually play
I never watched it.
The same character in an episode of Chuck. He
I
played
heard that.
officer.
Yeah, I heard that. He also played the same character in Die Hard 2.
Die Hard 2, yeah, correct.
At Nakatomi Tower, Sergeant Powell appeared. He checked the whole lobby and saw nothing weird. He was pulling away but didn't get far before Marco landed on the hood of his car. Powell drove away backwards, screaming in fright. "Welcome to the party, pal!" John yelled with delight. More police arrived, the FBI and SWAT team. But Hans didn't mind. It was all part of his scheme. More rapid than eagles, his henchmen they came, as he radioed and shouted and called them by name. Now Eddie, now James, now Franco, now Uli, on Fritz and on Carl, hair long and unruly. They shot the SWAT tank with surface-to-air missile and knocked it away like the down of a thistle. Now John McClane was angry indeed. He blew up 2 terrorists and called them jerkweed. All right, so now we get to the introduction of Sergeant Al Powell. And along with that, we get the media and the rest of the outside world. And what I love about this movie is the building is a character as well, right? It very much plays an integral part of this story. And the fact that they have everything locked down from the inside and you have all of these people on the outside. I mean, how do you even handle that? Right. So the LAPD comes in, they block everything off. And then we get the relationship building between John and
Officer Powell.
Yeah.
Yeah. And during this first conversation, they both refer to each other as partner.
Yeah.
And so that is instilling in us that they are both blue blood brothers.
Yeah. And Al even senses that further down the line a little bit. But before we get there, what do you think of McClane's way of getting Al's attention?
Dropping the body on the car.
That was so fucking awesome.
Man, that was crazy.
Yeah. I mean, he had to huck that body. Is it John who shoots up his car?
No, it's the right when the body hits the car, the terrorists figure out what just happened and they shoot from the top of the building.
Yeah.
With their machine guns. Now,
I thought they were shooting from the 5th floor as well.
Oh, it could be.
Yeah, because they break glass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, before this scene, actually, before John has the body, is the office scene where he's crawling under the table. And he's, the guy's saying to him, if you ever have someone, in your line of sight, you shoot him or something like that. And doesn't John say something like, thanks for the advice? Or
yeah, after he shoots him to the table.
Now, did you read what happened to Bruce Willis during this scene?
Because of said extra loud blanks, he damaged his hearing.
Yeah, I guess they had plexiglass around the area to kind of keep the gunshot in and keep it loud and everything. And it caused permanent damage in one of his ears.
Yeah.
And I guess ever since then, he's worn a hearing aid.
2/3 of the hearing in one ear.
Wow.
Now, is that worth $5 million?
Well, look at the career he just had.
Yeah.
I mean, you tell me, bud.
And also during this time, we get to have Hans and John chit-chat with each other for the first time.
Yeah. Everyone's freaking out. Hans is, this is all part of the plan, guys. Just everybody relax. And then all of a sudden, static comes over the radio when Hans jumps on and says, I thought I told all of you to keep radio silence. And then, John McClane being John McClane, They start to have their banter back and forth, and this is where the epic line comes in, and the most iconic line that it's probably, when you think about Christmas and you think about Christmas movies, the first thing you think as a tagline or a saying from Christmas is Merry Christmas, of course, right? But the second one, always, from here on out,
it's iconic.
It's yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Did you hear what that line almost was?
Yippee-ki-yay, mother lover?
No, the director thought it wasn't yippee-ki-yay. He thought it was yippee-ti-yay. And so they got into an argument.
Tie-yay?
Tie-yay.
Yeah.
And so it almost was, they had Bruce Willis film it both ways. It almost was yippee-ti-yay, motherfucker.
Well, that would have just been dumb.
Now we meet Richard Thornburg.
Richard Thornburg, played brilliantly by William Atherton.
Yes, correct.
Nailed it. A classic bad guy from the 80s. When you think of William Atherton, I think before Die Hard, I thought real genius. He's the head professor, whatever.
You know who I think of?
Who?
Peck.
Oh, Walter Peck from the Ghostbusters, absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we know that he's kind of a slimeball, shady little character, and of course he is the anchor. He steals, or he gets a truck, and he heads out to the Nakatomi site.
Tower.
Yep.
Yeah, he has no care for any of the people being held hostage. No concern for John McClane, anybody. Just wants the story and just wants the credit.
Yeah.
And then from here, we have the introduction of the police force, specifically with Dwayne Robinson. John McTiernan specifically wanted to make the police be not antagonists, but certainly somebody that we were not going to champion ourselves with and feel good about. The police were meant to look ineffective or inept, inadequate, certainly nothing that was going to be able to help John McClane.
Right. And Deputy Chief of Police Dwayne T. Robinson is played by Paul Gleason, who we just reviewed in
Breakfast Club.
There you go. So you got two of the biggest villains in the 80s in the same movie who aren't really the villain, right?
No, but they're just so good at playing dicks.
And that's what they were cast for, right? So, yeah, we meet them. And one of my favorite lines, and I laughed so hard last night when Elise and I were watching this, but Jesus Christ, pal, he could be a fucking bartender for all we know.
Which is funny because Bruce Willis is, before he became an actor, do you know what he did as a living?
He was a bartender.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he goes on to say, well, how do you explain the body on my car? Well, I don't know. Maybe he was some disgruntled stockbroker.
Yeah. So good.
And then right after that, they light up all the floodlights.
Oh yeah, the LAPD has a plan.
Yeah,
and
they always follow a procedure. Yeah.
Yep, they have a plan, and they are coming in. So the terrorists get ready.
Kick ass.
Oh, I love that. That's so funny. Did you know one of the cops that is right next to Al, he's the one that always tells Dwayne T. Robinson, like, the press is here, or there's a phone call or something.
Okay.
That cop actor is the same cop in Die Hard with a Vengeance. It's Ricky.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Oh, right on.
So I like to think that he followed John
back to New York. All right.
Yeah, that's how I like to explain that one. Doesn't make it out, but spoilers.
And then we get some more classic lines. The police have themselves an RV.
'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the house not a creature was stirring, except the four assholes coming up the rear, 2x2 cover formation.
Oh my God, the quarterback is toast.
We do this all night, yo.
Mm-hmm. Something you mentioned earlier, Professor, was a lot of this movie was ad-libbed. And I loved, first of all, you always got to recognize Al Leong, who played Uli, I believe, in this movie. Mm-hmm. He's like a terrorist or something in just about every...
He's the bad guy in the 80s.
I love him because you can spot him in every single movie.
Sure.
And I guess there's that scene where they're getting ready to take on the police and he reaches in and steals a candy bar. Mm-hmm. That was his idea. He ad-libbed that, but he checked it with the director before he did it because he didn't want to screw up the scene.
Yeah, because back then they did film. And film was expensive.
Yeah, but I thought that scene was just a great break of, oh, there's candy here.
Oh yeah, and then the music that goes along with it, right? It's very inquisitive,
of levity.
and Yeah. And at the same time, the SWAT's coming in and they're running through the sticker bushes and yeah, he gets hurt. Begin your reconnoiter. And up comes the RV. And turns out the terrorists have brought themselves an RPG rocket launcher. Mm-hmm. So they set it all up, which, the timing doesn't work for me. The RV should have gotten there by the time they get it all set up. But whatever. You've already hooked me. I'm in.
That was one of the comments we made is they can see it in the distance and they go upstairs and everything, and it's still coming by the time they get there.
It's still the same distance, right? Yeah. So anyways, they fire, they hit the RV, and I love what Hans says. Do it again, or hit it again.
Hit it again.
Just great delivery by Alan Rickman, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what does John do? He takes some C4 that he found previously, and he sent it down an elevator shaft.
With an old computer monitor and
Spotter says you got 2 with that blast.
so when that blast happens, that was one of the moments that I kind of sort of like, I don't know.
Really? Even back then?
Yeah.
Well, okay.
It was brought up a good point while watching this movie is they pretty much blow up the hell out of this building. This movie came out before 9/11. Do you think they could have made the same movie after 9/11, blowing up the building like that?
It depends on how long. How long after 9/11?
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. People blow up buildings in today's movies.
Mm.
I mean, could you make The Man of Steel in 2012? Or, no, I'm sorry, in 2002? No. Right? So, I mean, yeah, he fucking takes out a bottom half of a building. And I love what Robinson says. There are people covered in glass.
Glass?
Who gives a shit about glass?
I'm not the one that just got butt fucked on TV, Dwayne.
Yeah, so good. You're not part of the solution this time. You're part of the problem. Quit being part of the fucking problem and put the other guy back on. Ellis told Hans, "Booby, I'm your white knight." Hans shot him dead, giving the hostages a fright. Hans went back to go check on the explosive fuse and saw that poor John wasn't wearing any shoes. John fled from Carl and Hans, but alas, he had to run barefoot over sharp broken glass. His feet, how they hurt, his soles, oh so bloody. John crawled to the bathroom and called his good buddy. John was weary and ready to throw in the towel until he got a pep talk from Sergeant Al Powell. Powell was chubby and plump, a right jolly old cop, and he trusted the cowboy in his tattered tank top. But a reporter was probing into McLean's life and revealed that Holly was actually John's wife. Hans quickly flipped over the gold pitcher frame. "It's a pleasure to meet you, Mrs. McLean." His clothes all tarnished with ash and soot, John staggered to the roof, bloody and barefoot. The explosives were wired to the rooftop with care in hopes that the hostages soon would be there. John warned everyone the roof would soon blow as the chopper strafed him with high-powered ammo. Around his waist he tied a fire hose tight and, screaming an oath, jumped into the night. He dangled in the air and gritted his teeth while flames encircled the tower like a wreath. Fiercely fighting his way back inside, John yelled out, "Hans!" He was done trying to hide. He limped to the vault like an old man on crutches, only to find Holly in his filthy clutches. John dropped his gun, put his hands on his head. It seemed he and Holly soon would be dead. But with a secret gun taped to his back, John shot Hans in a surprise attack. Hans fell out the window, holding Holly's arm, and slowly, deliberately raised his firearm. The tenacious villain held on by his nails until John unhooked Holly's watch and said, "Happy trails." Bearer bonds flooded like fresh fallen snow as Holly embraced her blood-spattered bow. So Merry Christmas to all, be kind to one another, and most of all, yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. End movie.
Now, the book you've been reading, can you tell us a little bit about that book?
This is A Die Hard Christmas, written by Doogie Horner, illustrated by J.J. Harrison. Where'd you get it, John?
I got that off of Amazon.
Yeah, so I got this book a couple years back down at the brick and mortar Amazon store. I saw it there, and I was like, fuck yeah. Even read it to a good buddy of mine when he wasn't feeling all that great. And yeah, fucking great book. You should go out and pick it up.
Yeah, it further proves it is a Christmas movie because it's got its own Christmas book.
There you go. Case and point.
Well, that and the director, John McTiernan, also said in an interview that he wanted it to be a Christmas movie.
All right, so I don't think there is a debate.
Yeah, it gives you the feels. So
yeah,
the part with Ellis and the "Hey booby" thing, I guess that was all improvised. Alan Rickman's expression when he comes in and says that was complete shock because he wasn't expecting it.
Right.
Yeah, so that reaction from Rickman is genuine. So Ellis tries to be the big guy and tries to be the hero and doesn't say anything about Holly, which, good for him. And that's what John was worried about, right? And all of this is being played live on radio, and it would appear that McClane let him die, right? But McClane knows who Hans is. He knows the type of guy. And they shoot Ellis, and now Hans is all kind of pissed off. Right. And so he tells everybody to go do their job. And then I love what he says to Carl. Carl, hunt that little shit down and get me my detonators. Because this is what he needs, right? He needs the detonators to blow the roof. So Carl says, I was going to go check the explosives or whatever on the roof. He goes, no, I'll do it. You go hunt that little shit down.
Right.
So he goes to the roof and he sees that it's not completely finished, the wiring of the C4, and he jumps down, and that's when him and John McClane meet for the very first time. But this fucking scene, it was magnificent.
I guess this was one of the first scenes that Alan Rickman even filmed, and jumping down, that one scene where he kind of jumps down, he actually broke something in his knee. And so he had to wear a brace underneath his pants the rest of the movie.
Oh, that sucks.
From hurting his knee. Now, the big tell that I was going to talk about where he, John McClane as a New York cop must have figured out something was wrong with Bill, what was his name? Bill
Clay.
Bill Clay.
Bill.
Was the cigarette. Did you notice anything weird about the cigarette?
He was holding it weird?
He was holding it the European way.
Yeah, I can see that. And maybe that was it, maybe that was the tell, that in the watch. And, but for years, I always wondered, I said, how did he know, right? How did he know it was Hans?
I always figured he was just testing him with giving him a gun with no bullets was just kind of a test, and that's how he figured it out. I mean, stranger a loaded weapon.
That's a good point.
No
that's a good
bullets. Point. Think I'm fucking stupid?
You were sane? Yeah, I love that. I'm going to count to 3. What? Like you did with Takagi? This is just so cool.
Now, my first thought, too, is when McClane, the bad guys come up in the elevator and you were saying, and McClane runs away, why didn't he just shoot Hans real quick and just end that?
I thought that same thing, too, but,
I would have just, immediately when I figured out it was Hans, I would have just shot him.
Well, he didn't have his hand on the gun with the bullets.
Oh.
His Beretta didn't have any bullets in it, remember? What do you think, I'm fucking stupid, Hans? So yeah, Carl comes in and they pin him down, and this is all to get the detonators. And then Hans realizes this motherfucker doesn't have any shoes on, and we are surrounded by glass.
Shoot the glass.
God, finsta. And he just looks at him like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Shoot the glass.
And he does. And I mean, you as the audience can just, imagine Bruce Willis is pinned down. He can see the fucking exits. It's literally like maybe 4 big steps, but those 4 big steps are all covered in glass. So, fucking rough.
Bruce Willis says it even gives him still to this day the heebie-jeebies of watching, himself in that movie pulling the glass out of his feet.
Yeah. Oh. And that's one of my favorite scenes.
Now, supposedly, and I missed it again watching this, they made special shoes for Bruce Willis for this time that would actually look like bare feet that went over his feet, but they're so big, it's obvious. Did you catch that in the movie when he was running out that he had fake feet on?
No.
So I didn't catch it in this one either.
Hobbit's feet?
So yeah, now the terrorists are back on track. They have their detonators, and now the FBI has been called in. And they are running the terrorist playbook to a T. And so what we didn't really touch on was this vault. This vault has 7 locks, and 6 of them are electric and can be picked and broken into with a big high-powered drill. Apparently, that's Theo's job. But this 7th lock was a magnetic seal, and the circuits could not be cut locally. And Hans the whole time was like, trust me, it's Christmas. Well, it's going to work out. It's going to work out. He must have known that they were going to call the FBI and that the FBI was going to go in and shut off the power. And then I love how Theo realizes it at that moment. He's like, or a time lock. In the line that Rickman delivers, you asked for a miracle, Theo. I give you the FBI.
He said
so good.
He said earlier on in the movie when he was trying to explain, not to stress about the cops coming, it was always part of the plan.
He said it was inevitable.
Oh, I thought he said it was part of the plan.
Oh, yeah, I think he does too.
And that's why they had to be terrorists.
Yeah, he wanted the FBI there the whole time.
I have to say, watching it this time, in today's society, now granted, this is a long time ago, but, to have the power grid shut it off, doesn't the power go out every once in a while? So, there are 6 other redundant locks on it, but at the same time, shouldn't you have some sort of an independent battery backup?
I'm guessing
you would think, right?
But I'm guessing that's what they cut in the beginning, or the FBI cut all the power to the building.
Well, that's what they did. They shut off the entire grid. What he's saying is you would think they'd have a backup outside of said grid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a UPS battery backup. I have one in my computer lab at school, and so I'm thinking that sort of a rookie move there for a big old corporation like this to have $500 million and you don't have a battery backup.
Yes, $500 million that anybody can cash. Bearer bonds, anybody, the government has to accept them.
I want to know, how did Hans know that was in there? I've always wondered that over the years.
Oh, he did his research.
Because
he knew his shit.
Yeah.
He reads Forbes and Time and men's suits.
Yeah, he knows about the Asian Dawn.
So yeah, he makes all these lists of demands that the FBI actually says that, they'll do.
And now this brings us to the bathroom after the power goes out. And now I think this is where John thinks, I'm not making it out alive.
Yeah, he even says, I don't have a good feeling here.
Yeah. And the line he delivers, tell Holly.
She's heard me say I love you a million times. Mm-hmm. She's never heard me say I'm sorry.
And the quiver in his voice.
Yeah, even the build up, because I should have been more supportive. I should have been, when things started to take off for her, And then Al's like, you can tell her yourself because you're going to make it out of there. What I don't understand, or what I actually thought of for the very first time, and again, I've seen this movie a couple times, everyone's listening to that. So wouldn't have Hans known that there was a wife somewhere in the crowd, maybe?
I was also thinking...
And he keeps throwing him off, right? I got invited by mistake, blah, 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 but still.
It is around this time that I start thinking, there's 100 police officers down there, and boy, this channel is extremely quiet. There's only 3 people talking on it. You got John, you got Al, and you got Hans. And everybody else is staying off?
Yeah, well, because it's the 3 main dudes, I guess.
Well, Hans told everybody to stay off.
And those are...
Until further notice, right?
And those are powerful walkie-talkies.
Fuck yeah, they are. Look how far that's going. So he says, I guess that's up to the man upstairs. You're going to make it out of there alive. And then it dawns on John, what was Hans doing upstairs? Mm-hmm. So he starts to make his way upstairs, and in the meantime, the FBI, like I said, has arrived. They've arranged for everything, and now it was time for
Johnson.
No relation. It's time for Hans to take all the hostages up to the roof, and this is where we see that Thornburg, being a dick, went and threatened Holly's housekeeper with the INS. Dick move, Thornburg, dick move. But he gets in, interviews the children, and Holly sees this on the little portable TV that the terrorists brought. And Hans figures it out, lifts up the picture, and sees that Bruce Willis is the husband. And now, he's all excited. He's going to kidnap
Nice to make your acquaintance, Mrs. McLean.
And then he shoots off in the air, and yeah. And then he tells everyone to go up to the roof and come back. And I don't know if you noticed, Holly tries to go the other way really nonchalantly. She just tries to walk away, which is so fucking brilliant, right? But he grabs her and goes, not you. Yeah, so John makes it upstairs, figures out that the whole roof is wired to blown, and it's now been a double cross, not only by the terrorists, but the FBI, who have sent gunships and not regular choppers. So they were planning to kill everybody anyway. You know, they even talk about what's the loss ratio.
25%.
I can live with that. That's what he says.
Yeah, and so here's another example of the law enforcement that is sent to help McClane working again. You know, that we are not supporting these characters because they are crappy people.
Yeah, for sure.
To jump back a little bit, because I know you love when I do in that, we passed over one of my favorite scenes in the movie, which is, I believe the terrorists are carrying a body. I can't remember whose body it was, and Hans comes out all pissed off and he's yelling and all this stuff.
Carl does.
No, but Hans does. And Hans is upset about something. And Holly looks up and goes, he's still alive. How do you know? Because only John can piss someone off like that.
I know. It's Carl.
Is it Carl that's
Yes.
Yeah, Carl, because he wrecks the bar.
Oh.
Because it's his brother that he wants the blood for. Right.
Oh.
Only John can drive someone that crazy.
Yep.
Yeah, I love that. That's one of my favorite scenes.
That's a good scene. Good scene.
But sorry, back to the helicopter and all that.
Yeah. So next time when we get to that part, jump in and don't just sit there with your thumb up your ass. Well, that's new. I haven't used that one yet. So John goes up to check the, we already said that. Explosives, gunship. And who's waiting for John? Carl. So here's our showdown, right? And in the meantime, we're cutting back and forth to the gunships making their rounds to the building. We have the hostages getting escorted up to the roof, and this whole time, John's got to fight Carl, who I would think could probably kick his ass in a regular situation, maybe.
Now, the guy who played Carl, from what I have read, do you know what his profession was before this movie?
He's a ballet dancer.
He was a ballet dancer. So
pretty fucking famous.
Did you notice all the kicks he
yeah.
was doing? And he was doing a pretty good job.
Yeah,
with all those kicks.
When McClane was on the ground and he was just kind of kicking him. Yeah, for sure. Totally saw that. But then, McClane goes all streetwise on him and hangs him from a chain and runs upstairs. And
I love the line of, was it... I'm going to kill you, I'm going to cook you, and I'm going to eat you.
I'm going to fucking eat you. Yeah. That's a great line, but one of my other favorites was as he's kicking Carl's ass, you should have heard your brother squeal when I broke his fucking neck. Right? I mean, just so John McClane. So he makes it upstairs to the roof, and he tells everybody to get run down, and he starts shooting, in the air to scare the hostages back down. The FBI thinks it's a terrorist, so they start shooting at John McClane. And this scene, this bit is my favorite bit of the entire movie. The stunt is great and the action is superb, but it really is, for me, when he starts taking the fire hose down and he starts talking to himself again, right? Oh, John, what the fuck are you doing? Ties it around, gets on the ledge and goes, I promise I'll never think about going up in a tall building again, right? And then it's the last one. He goes, please don't let me die. And then just as he jumps, they blow the roof, and then there's this spectacular scene, right? The roof of the Nakatomi blows up. John McClane comes down, and he hits the window. He can't quite get in, so what does he do? He pushes himself off, and as he's swinging back, he takes out his gun and shoots the glass, and at the exact moment, the wheel that the hose is on flips over, and we see Bruce Willis's face like, holy fuck, right? He can't believe this just happened. He's just fucking there. And then all of a sudden, you see the wheel fly by him.
I love the realization on his face.
And it's the realization on his face, absolutely. And then when he takes it off and he manages to get rid of it, it's that look of...
And the cubicle wall that he has his feet pressed against.
Yes, absolutely. And then it's that look after he gets it all done, like he can't believe he just fucking did that.
Yep. And his heart's got to be going, almost died, almost died, almost died, almost died, almost died, almost died.
Yeah. I mean, his nerves must be shot. So he needs to make his way down to the 30th floor to the vault where Hans has kidnapped Holly. So now we have, he sent Theo, the hacker dude, to go get the ambulance, which if you watch real closely in the beginning of the film does not fit in that truck that the terrorists get off, but whatever. I've
So this is where, the storyline changed.
So he sends Theo down to get the truck, and Argyle's still down in the garage, and he takes out that guy. So that's one less hostage that John McClane has to get. And now we have our showdown. Now this is what we've been waiting for.
There's one other little line that I like. The helicopters explode, and Dwayne.
Oh, I guess we're going to need some new FBI guys. So good.
Well, while they're in the helicopter, though, when the guy says, "Reminds me of Saigon."
I was in junior high, dickhead. Yeah, that was a good one.
And so now we're down to the final showdown.
Yeah. And John has 2 bullets left, none in his machine gun. He comes up. Hans has Holly hostage. They do their little banter back and forth.
Hans. Hi, honey.
I love that. Hi, honey. That was so good.
How did he tape that gun to his back so well? I can't even barely scratch my back.
I know.
far.
That's another thing I was questioning.
Barely reach.
But who cares? We'll fucking go with that.
That,
Right?
and he's so sweaty and dirty. I kept wondering how that tape was.
Totally.
I just wanted to see the scene where he goes there and he's got his hands up, and all of a sudden you see this gun fall down.
Just
behind
falls
him.
down. Yeah.
Yeah, and holy buckets, what he's been through, right? He's been shot in the shoulder. He pulled all that glass out of his feet. He should have a broken back from his fall from the roof.
He should have a number of broken things.
Yeah.
At this point, but he doesn't.
He's been shot in the shoulder. I think you said.
Yep.
Okay.
So he drops his gun, and
They start laughing.
Right. And then Holly's kind of looking at him like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And then he screams Holly to get her out of the way. Reaches behind his back, pulls the gun, shoots Hans. Shoots the other dude in his head. Happy trails, Hans. Goes out the window. And this is a great scene, too, because it's very memorable. And it's memorable for a bunch of reasons, right? Like you pointed out earlier, the foreshadowing of him seeing the watch. Well, this is the first time that he gets to see the Rolex, and Hans is holding on to it as he's hanging out this fucking window. So McClane takes off the Rolex, and when Hans drops... filming it, they didn't tell Alan Rickman they were going to let him go.
Such a good story.
And when they did, that expression is 100% genuine.
So it took a lot of cajoling to get Alan Rickman to do it because he was very anxious about being up that high.
He had to fall, 25 feet?
Something like that.
So, well, there's varying accounts about how far he fell.
Mm-hmm.
But at the very least, it was at least 20 feet. And he is all rigged up. He has... he has the drop that he's going to do. And like I said, it took a lot of cajoling. And, so it's going to be at the count of 3. But they told the stunt man holding on to him, let go at 2. So that way they could get the genuine response.
Yeah.
And so what we have is the first take that we see. They talked Alan into shooting it again a second time, but they went with the first take. And it just makes it that much more delightful to watch.
That panic on his face.
Yeah. And then that was a real stunt guy who fell all that way. Normally movies would just throw a dummy in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that was a real dude, and he fell all that way. And I like Robinson's line again. "Oh, I hope that wasn't one of the hostages."
On the interwebs, you can actually find a site that will tell you the exact time to start the movie at to have Hans Gruber fall at midnight. And they said it's not, the new year until Hans drops.
But it didn't happen on New Year's Eve.
I know, but it's just kind of funny.
Yeah, okay.
So
I suppose.
So that shot of Gruber falling to his death, that was what got one of the Oscar nominations.
Yeah. So there you have it.
So then we all go downstairs, and
Al and John meet for the very first time. And I tell you, it's like that moment in Lethal Weapon 2 that we talk about all the fucking time. It gets me every fucking time.
Single time I tear up.
Every fucking time. And that's what makes it a wonderful Christmas movie.
When they finally embrace and then John lets the laugh out.
It's the laugh that gets you every time.
Single time.
Yes, 100%. 100%. But we knew Carl wasn't dead because they set us up that Al has to shoot him because we got the story of how he hasn't pulled his gun after he shot that kid. Yeah. And I love that line. They can teach you everything in the academy when you're a rookie except how to live with a mistake. It's such a good line. But anyways, Al shoots him, and then Argyle comes pulling out of the garage. They get into the back seat.
Before they get in the back seat,
Peck. I almost called him Peck. Thornburg comes up and tries to interview the McLeans, and then Holly just gives him a right cross. And yeah,
Did you get that?
I love that. Did you get that? So good.
Yeah.
So they get in. Argyle says, if this is their idea of Christmas movie, I got to be here for New Year's. So they get in. It's snowing. They pull away.
Julie brought up a great point of, wouldn't they immediately need to go to the hospital?
Well, maybe that's where he took him.
He's pretty beat up.
He is. However, I bet you there's a lot of raw emotions going on there. I bet you they were
Getting busy.
I think 5
in the
seconds
back of
after
the
this
limo.
movie ended, he remembered how bad his feet hurt.
I don't know. He's probably all hopped up on adrenaline. But I'm sure he made it to the hospital at some point.
Now, the guy who played Al, have you heard why he hates, or doesn't really hate, but he's not happy with his character from this movie?
Because of the Twinkies?
Because of the Twinkies. Apparently, after this movie was finished, everywhere he went, people threw Twinkies at him. In fact, even when he was driving down the street, if he had his window open, people would throw Twinkies into his moving car.
All right. So that was the greatest Christmas movie of all time, Die Hard.
One last thing. Every time when I watch the end of the movie and, the music starts, I always think to myself, man, somebody had to clean all that up.
What's funny is they addressed that in the end of 2. Marv, the janitor.
Oh, yeah.
I'll be damned if I'm cleaning this mess up. So that was pretty good. I like that.
One of the interesting things, I don't remember, did I bring this up in the beginning?
Probably.
The movie ends with Let It Snow. The second movie starts with it snowing. Do you know what the official body count was for this movie, including the 2 FBI agents?
See, there was 12 terrorists, 2 FBI agents, Ellis, Takagi, the guard at the front, the other guard.
I heard there was 14 terrorists. Well, 13 on the movie poster, but it turned out to be 14.
And then you figure you got helicopter pilots.
24.
What's your guess?
20.
The official answer is 21.
Oh,
So you're pretty,
Nice job.
pretty close.
nice job, Professor.
Trivia. How many of the terrorists live
I
to
know
the end of the movie?
I know this, but do you know, Don?
Probably just one.
Nope.
Oh, 2. There's 2.
Two terrorists.
Theo and the dude that McLean clocks with the gun when he's running around.
Right. And all the barabons go sliding across the
Now-
floor.
Yep.
I heard the reason why those 2 terrorists lived, or 2 thieves lived, is because they're the only ones who never shot at anybody.
Oh, well, there you go.
I'm sure that's what McTiernan had in mind.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
I have no idea.
As soon as they
I have
came
no
to set that day, you know what, buddy boy, you haven't shot anybody. You're going to live. So there
Well,
you
it's
go.
supposed to send a message.
Yeah, great message. You
And
guys ready to rate this motherfucker?
let's rate this motherfucker.
Yippee-ki-yay. Hey, Professor, how do we do our ratings?
Our ratings have been modified somewhat just recently. We are now deciding that what we want to rate our movies with has to do with how many Fs do we give this movie. And when I'm talking about Fs, I'm talking about fucks. So we still have a 1 to 5 rating. 5 fucks is a movie that we think of, this is cinematic gold. This movie is beloved and we are ready to watch it anytime. And when we love a movie, we're going to give it 5 fucks. Fuck yeah.
That's a lot of fucks.
Yeah. As opposed to a movie that we don't care. We saw it one and done, and we're going to give that movie 1 fuck. I really don't give a fuck about this movie.
What if I don't give any fucks about a movie?
If you don't give any fucks about a movie, that's a movie where you are just screaming, fuck, somebody owes me 2 hours of my life back.
So that would be a 0?
That would be a 0.
All right, so that is our ratings. Thank you, Professor. Who wants to go first?
I will go first. Die Hard, obviously, fun ride every time you watch it. It is the movie that created the formula for, a decade after this?
Still today.
Still today, people just compare this movie to just every other movie, action movie made. Love it. It's just a fantastic movie. It's one of those movies, though, I think that it's fun to have a little bit of distance. It's fun to watch it every once in a while, especially around the holiday time. You got to bring that movie out and see it. Some people have A Christmas Story. Some people have, some other movie, It's a Wonderful Life. For me, you get that holiday feels watching Die Hard. I thought that Bruce Willis was fantastic in it. Bruce Willis actually picked, the actress who played his wife, Holly. They had great chemistry. I can't honestly see. Clint Eastwood originally bought the rights for this movie, and he was going to be in it. I couldn't see him doing it. I can't see Nick Nolte being in it. Sylvester Stallone was another character. Bruce Willis is John McClane. I can't see anybody else playing the role as well as he did. And everything he went through to make this movie, blood, sweat, and tears, did a fantastic job. The fact that they gave the character some realism to him, they didn't make him the perfect action hero. They made him a guy who was vulnerable, a guy who a lot of luck took place, a lot of instinct took place. He was a New York cop, and you kind of believed it. All of that went in to make just an amazing action movie. For that reason, I'm going to give Die Hard a 4.5 fucks.
4.5 fucks for Die Hard from the comic book guy. You want to go? You want me to go?
I can go. So this movie is, I think, probably in the pantheon of the classic movies that I hold near and dear. It is a beloved movie for me. I adore this movie, and it is something that I am ready and eager to watch whenever. The character of John McClane is iconic. Hans Gruber, every bit as iconic as John McClane. To have these two characters go up against each other, I cannot think, it is hard to think of another rivalry in a movie to have two characters pitted against each other. And to have both of these characters in I don't want to say their prime, but this established them in Hollywood for both of them. These roles are what have made these actors movie stars. And they came out in such a wonderfully unexpected way. I was completely blown away, pun intended, by this movie when I first saw it. And watching it again the other night, man, it is so good. And the lines just roll off your tongue. And just, it is so delightful to watch. And it was so much fun being able to talk about this movie with other people to say, so yeah, is this a Christmas movie or is this not a Christmas movie? It's always amusing to how you have some people that feel very, very strongly that this is not a Christmas movie. For a long time, I wondered as well, is it? And finally, yeah, over the last couple of years, I said, yeah, it's a Christmas movie. So I am giving this movie a 5.
You're giving 5 fucks because Die Hard is cinematic gold.
It is a perfectly wonderful action movie. It is hard to think of an action movie that is going to outshine this. There are others that are as good, but I have to say it is hard-pressed to find another movie that will outshine it.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
I love this movie.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to echo what you said because I too love this movie. This movie had a very big impact on me growing up. Whenever I was down or whenever I needed something to watch, it was always Die Hard. From beginning to end, it moves. The writing is witty. John McClane is lovable and charismatic. Bruce Willis comes onto the scene and proves everybody wrong and just nails it out of the park in this role. Hans Gruber, easily one of the greatest villains in a movie of all time. Any genre, any movie, anywhere, Hans Gruber is up there. It gave us, like John was saying, the trope of Die Hard on a bus, Die Hard on a boat. In my opinion, it is close to a perfect film. There are bits here and there where it drags a little bit, and depending on how many times you watch it or when you watch it, it can feel a little long sometimes. I can say that because I've seen this movie literally probably over easily 200 times. Right. So, I have nothing but love for this film. And I have always thought that this movie was a Christmas movie because it happens at Christmas. Yeah, it got released in July, but whatever. Every Christmas, we watch it and in some form or another. So, a timeless movie. I love it to death. I am going to give Die Hard 4.75 fucks.
I thought so.
That's one of your highest rated movies.
Yeah, I didn't think it was going to be a 5. Not yet.
Oh, it was pretty close. Now comes the point in our podcast where we are going to select our next film. The next film that we are going to review it's been suggested by our listener Gerard. We are going to be talking about the 1994 Keanu Reeves, Sandra Bullock vehicle, Speed. Did you like Speed?
I've only ever seen it once.
Get the fuck out of here.
Fuck you. How can it be only one time?
To be fair, Professor, he has still not seen Shaun of the Dead.
Or At World's End.
Oh my God, you're fucking killing me. You're fucking killing me, John.
I think I've seen it once. I know it's on a bus.
Well, it's Die Hard on a bus.
Yeah. So, and I do remember it has
Dennis Hopper.
I do remember it has Dennis Hopper in it, who I love in just about anything he's in.
Yeah, you and I, Professor, have talked about Speed several times. Mm-hmm. We've seen it. He's a fan.
But have you seen Speed 2?
Yes, Cruise
on
Control.
The boat.
Yeah, Die Hard on a boat. Yeah.
Isn't it just the same movie?
No, absolutely not.
No, one is on a boat. And one is on a bus. I don't know how more different you get.
One is on a boat, 2 is on a bus.
I see what you did there.
One is on a bus and 2 is on a boat.
Yeah, I see what you did there. Yeah, no, it's not the same story at all.
Keanu Reeves isn't even in the second one.
All right, so that is going to wrap it up for our holiday special of Three Guys in a Flick. I want to thank everybody who listens, especially Zach and Ronnie. You guys have made this year a lot of fun for us, so keep listening and keep suggesting. I know that Zach has movies in the helmet. Has Ronnie put any movies in the helmet yet?
I don't believe so.
Okay, I'm going to need you to talk to this fucking guy and say, we need a movie or two.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
I'm working on it. All right.
It would be nice if we could add a third listener. That should be our New Year's resolution.
Oh yeah, because the new year is coming up. Maybe we can get a third listener somewhere.
So if you'd like to be mentioned on every single show, start listening.
And let us know that you're listening. Yeah. Speaking of which, hey, John, where can they find us?
They can find us at our website, threeguysinaFlick.com. They can find us at pretty much any place that hosts podcasts. We are on all of them, Spotify, iTunes, any place I could find to put us. We are on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're on Tumblr. We are on every social media as well. So we're all good.
So for Three Guys in a Flick, I'm Don.
I'm John.
And I'm Ken. Thanks for listening. Merry Christmas.
Did you know that there was a movie that completely ripped off Die Hard?
What was it called?
It was called Harry Potter.
Oh, this I gotta fucking hear. Go ahead.
What is the basic plot of Harry Potter?
He's a wizard.
It's about a guy who runs around a building chased by Alan Rickman.
Lame.
It's the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard in my life. You know what? Get the fuck out of my basement. Fuck off.
That's almost a dad joke.
That is totally a dad joke. But I wish I had the wherewithal to come up with something that was counterpoint to that.
I'll say, will this basically be my last podcast?
This will be the Comic Book Guys' last podcast. Thanks for joining us and bringing us the dumbest fucking movies we've had to watch to date.
You guys got any New Year's resolutions?
Yeah, I'm going to try and cut down on the swears.
No, that's not happening. Let's see how long you can go after the New Year without swearing.
Oh, is that a challenge, sir? So I guess when I rate my movies, I don't get to fuck them anymore.
No,
I have
you'll
to
just give them Fs.
I have to give them Fs.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting because John's going to goat you.
Oh, I know.
And bait you.
I know. I know.
I'm going to poke that tiger.
To be clear, I said I'm going to try and reduce the amount of Fs that I say. I didn't say I was going to cut them out altogether. All right, fuck off. Good night.